All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist?
Fine.
Is everybody home? All right, thank you very much. Allow us, before proceeding to the interaction this evening, to again, as a reminder, illustrate the point that what you have before you is indeed a blended energy. The energy that you have become somewhat familiar with, myself, if you will, loosely speaking, as an individual that we have chosen to designate Bashar, is but one of the triad, at least at this timing, involved in this interaction. Myself, the channel before you, but also another individual from our planet that we have, for the time being, simply labeled the other, but who will, in that sense, be provided a referential name soon. The idea being that my particular function within these interactions was, and continues to be, to acclimate the channel before you, to allow him to accelerate in a particular way that will enable him, in that sense, to be able to project the style of energy that is represented by, again, this other individual from our planet. If you wish to have some type of an idea, you may, if you wish, ascribe the label to that individual, the other, as being the future self of the channel before you. The relationship between that other entity and the channel before you is a bit more direct than my own Bashar, my own relationship with this channel. However, I, upon my planet, have been functioning in this capacity for quite some time, and therefore perhaps have a bit more experience, and therefore from time to time will present my energy in such a way to enable individuals to, in that way, be trained for this type of interaction. There is only a limited number of beings upon our planet who function in this manner, although our civilization is largely based in exploration of the universe, exploration of what we prefer to call the multiverse. There are many various, shall we say, positions within this exploration. And this particular department, if you will, of channeling is somewhat of a small, intimate group. There are other individuals besides the one present before you that will also be channeling to other individuals in your society. I, Bashar, have facilitated some of them in this way. Others will make the link directly. Because my own particular energy was, in that way, quite attractive to Andrew, it has been quite simple for me to act in this manner because he already, shall we say, accepted me, perhaps more, if you wish, than his own future self. But we find this to be quite common upon your planet, the idea of accepting externalized reflections for what you already believe internally. So this is simply an example of that. However, we will begin over the next few interactions to define that energy more specifically. As we have shared, our society has a type of mental unity. We are all telepathically linked. We also, on the other hand, have one of the advantages, if you will, from your own civilization, this being individuality in diversity. So therefore, even though there is commonality and unity upon our planet and within members of our society, there is also quite the idea of differences, individuality, and diversifications. What this is leading to is when a somewhat of a seeming abrupt change takes place, from your end, you will not notice too much of a difference. For the idea is the commonality that is expressed in the unity amongst our peoples tends to come out with a certain style of energy, a certain feel of energy. So much of what it is that you feel that you quote unquote love about these interactions will still be present in the interactions. However, what will now be able to come out are some of the individual nuances of another individual. I, Bashar, have spoken from time to time about particular aspects of myself, my life, my work, my interests, and the other individual as well has individual and different, diverse interests from me. So that will be part of the ongoing exploration. Again, allow me to reiterate that what you are physically hearing, what you are visually to some degree seeing, and the rest of the exchange that takes place from our stream of consciousness to yours does so on many other levels, has always been a blending. So you have never literally had just Bashar here. It has always been this conglomeration of energy. But the idea of myself pulling back to enable, shall we say, the original agreement to play out has many advantages, and I will simply leave them to you to discover. For the idea is there will be quite a joy in some of the differences. And the very reasons that many of you have attracted yourself to this particular stream of our energy is because of the individual nuances that will be more specifically of benefit to the individuals who find themselves attracted to these interactions. As again, a rough time frame, I, Bashar, and the whole reference of Bashar will recede at approximately on or around your January 1992. We will, as we have said, provide a reference or what you would say a name for the other entity in an upcoming interaction. At that time, we will request that you label the materials Bashar / and then the other name that we will provide. If you wish, you can do this somewhat retroactively, for the energy has shifted, so shall we say there was more involvement from this other entity as far back as the session that we had entitled Thank You, Thank You. That particular session, shall we say, was the first solo run, at least at the beginning introduction of the other energy. And in fact, what you have more or less been getting in the introductions to these interactions since that time has been more of the nuances of the other entity. Allow us to thank you all, for you have all, as well as provided to yourself, reflections of us. You have all also allowed us in that sense to interact with you. This, as we have always shared, enriches our knowledge, if you will, of the multiverse all that more. And we are constantly fascinated, understanding that we are all part and parcel of what you label God, what we call all that is, to see that many more ways in which all that is chooses to express itself. It is one of our, shall we say, most exciting things. And therefore, each and every time you share the gift of your individuality with us, that enables us, no matter if it sounds to individuals from your society like that same old question, we never view it that way, and always does it enrich us, always does it allow us to learn just that much more about ourselves through what we see in you. And we appreciate this greatly, for we see it again as the greatest individual gift of the giving. Therefore, if you wish, you may label or entitle this interaction sharing, and we will proceed to the sharing. Sharing.
Bashar.
Yes.
I have a question about...
One moment. Can the individual who is in charge of your climate control please turn down the heat just a bit? Thank you. Proceed.
I have a few questions about our visitors from Zeta Reticula.
All right, perhaps we shall answer them.
I understand from a very good source that there's an installation in Nevada.
A United States government installation, is this what you mean?
Yes.
All right.
And I understand that it's inhabited by many of the visitors from Zeta Reticula. Could you verify that and expand on that if it is the truth?
Our immediate perspective at this time that you are answering the question is that there are not very many. And if you will, only from time to time are there any. There is no direct discourse in this way, though there is discourse going on other levels, but more directly with individual, quote unquote, citizens upon your planet than your actual governmental structure. Now, they are aware of our existence and they are aware of it beyond the shadow of a doubt, but there are no cut and dry contracts signed. Simply, they understand some of our capabilities. They understand some of our desires. And in that sense, much of the reason for the disinformation as well as the squelching of the information altogether has far more to do with their own concerns about their remaining power base, more or less. Is there something more specific you wish to discuss?
Well, they are interacting with people from our government at this base.
Not so directly at the base. May I ask where your information was derived from?
From a person that was working for the military and operating helicopters who landed at this base and says he saw them with his own eyes.
All right. Can you describe what he has seen?
Only that he said he saw these small creatures that were 3.5 to 4 feet long, about 3.5 feet high. And he described the appearance of those from Zeta Reticuli.
All right. Well, do understand with the original asking of the question you asked right now. So the idea is that is an area of activity, though from our perspective, there is never in that way a large concentration of alien population in one place at one time. Right now, no. Perhaps he witnessed that, perhaps not.
I see.
Do go on.
Yes. The entities from Zeta Reticuli, are they controlled by other entities from other areas?
Controlled? No. Associated with, from time to time, yes.
Okay, good. Could you tell me what angel hair is? That substance that is sometimes seen falling from some of the vehicles.
We are not sure exactly. There are particular effects that are created. Some are electromagnetic in nature. Some have to do with the interaction between the exterior field of the craft and your atmosphere. There are many effects. The one that you are labeling is not familiar to us in that exact terminology. Can you give an example?
It comes down in strands, is the best way I can explain it.
For now, all we can share is that it is part and parcel of the vessel and one of the aspects of the vessel that embarks on what you might loosely label, allow us to scan, sensor devices.
I see.
Does that translate? There is some lack of vocabulary within the channel.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is, from time to time, there's been an entity that's been seen in different parts of the country, the western part of the country. We've given him the title as Bigfoot.
Yes.
Does he have any relation to the extraterrestrials?
Not directly, no. More to your own planet, and we will stop at that point. For that is part of your own exploration.
I see. Thank you very much.
And to you as well. Sharon.
Bashar.
Yes.
I have a question about feelings.
All right.
As my son was growing, I seemed to sense ahead of time that I would not have him with me for very long. And after he died, it seemed to come true, the awful feeling that I had been carrying with me ever since he was born.
Well, in a sense, you had what you may label a...
Remember?
Yes, but the idea is then judged it, but go on.
Right. My question now is, I have the same feeling, I'm 53 years old, about turning 55, as though something is going to happen.
Yes, but it is not perhaps the same analogy, and is simply indicative of personal transformation in and of itself, however, our strongest sense is within this life.
So that does not mean that I'm going to transform.
Oh, no, no, no. You can if you wish, but you do not have to.
Do we have a choice as to choose when our transformation will be?
In a sense, if you will allow yourself to become more conscious of all your creations, you will dispel the very partitions that you each create, called your subconscious, and you can, in that sense, make it conscious. Simply have the clear intention and allow the creations that are already in your life that you have labeled extraneous to begin to deliver some meaning. When you begin to own all your creations, you literally dissolve your quote-unquote subconscious memory. Therefore, you will be able to then create purely consciously. But by denying particular aspects of your own creations, then in that sense, you maintain that compartment of your subconscious. Therefore, once you create it, you allow sometimes some of your quote-unquote beliefs to reside within it, where you feel you cannot have direct access to changing them. Does that make sense?
It does.
So begin to be more conscious now. Have a clear intention of what it is you wish to be, but also use your sense of feelings that you have shared with us to begin to get some sense of what might be your most appropriate timing, what feels right. But in your 55 year, we do perceive a grandiose, if you will, personal transformation. And perhaps that is what you are sensing. You are already in it, by the way.
I hope so. I've only been at it a year, but it's very exciting. And I was just afraid that before I had a chance to experience the things I really wanted to do, I would be transformed into I would die.
Oh, no. Do not have to.
I have one other question. Holding feelings in can affect different parts of your body and cause dis-ease within your body. I've tried to figure out what I would be holding in to have eruptions on your skin, such as psoriasis or a beginning cancer on my face. Is that because I'm holding feelings in that I can't let out, or because I'm sloughing off the old me? Or
Perhaps, again, seeing certain things as extraneous files them back into the subconscious drawer. And perhaps this is what you are picking up upon that you have not, in that sense, let out. Simply, again, as each and every occurrence happens in your life, the ones that you label, quote unquote, negative, and the ones that you generate what you would call negative emotionality about can be used as a red flag. When those happen, rather than going automatically into the reactive mode, which is judgment and helplessness, by the way, you can begin to say, what must I believe to be creating this? What must I believe to be feeling this way about having created it? And that will flush to the surface these beliefs. That will also seem to transform and integrate ideas which you have considered to be repetitive negativity. Does this fit?
yeah, so the fact that I lost my uterus to cancer and had to have a hysterectomy, does that mean that the buried feelings that I had pushed down and just refused to acknowledge or whatever?
Well, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
When this was occurring in your life, rather than looking at what it did not allow you to do, what it prevented you from doing, what did it allow you to do? Think about that for a moment and answer.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just trust.
All right.
I was very worried, but there was a sense that this was something that I had to do and I had to go through and I had to submit. I was very afraid of anesthetic and being out of control, quote, and not knowing what's going to happen. I've never had this happen to me before. But I just felt a very good sense of calm, and I trusted what I was doing. And I thought, this is something inside my head said, this is something you must do. But I just wondered if old feelings from the past that I had buried had caused the cancer in this area to begin with.
In a sense, yes, but trust in and of itself is the primary issue. And it does not mean that you have to create such a symbol in order to show yourself that you have trust. That is the way you did it in that instance.
I see. Thank you.
Therefore, all purposes have been served. You will find, however, and we sense this most strongly, if you will begin to look just a bit more further in how it served you, you will find some interesting things. And that will far more be, shall we say, the idea why you created it. What you, in that sense, forced yourself to look at. Next time, look at it first, and then you will not need to create a symbol to force it. But it is simply that idea. All dis-ease is simply a symbological symbol that you have refused to look at, continually gotten the opportunity to look at, refused, seen it as extraneous, filed it back into the subconscious closet where it ate and got bigger and nastier till finally you literally force yourself to look at it. But you can use any of the opportunities which we have shared, you can label as negative emotionality in any given moment in order to flush them up.
Thank you very much.
Also, the particular communication with a particular individual that you are withholding, we will say no more, we will elaborate no more, simply trust that you understand what we are saying. Decide to be who you are and make that communication. You will find your skin eruptions, in a sense, are, in a sense, pressure valves. And that is perhaps most strongly what you are now.
Oh,
Yes. All right.
thank you very much.
And to you. Shame.